adapting without a map is a native skill of stars. And I think right now the whole economy or the whole industry of the workplace just lost its map.
I love the idea that it's a tool that you can use to sharpen yourself.
Now more than ever, human skills in general are going to be the important skill for everyone.
The future of work and the future of AI and human future go hand in hand. We're all moving in the same direction to make this world a closer place.
That's exactly what a star story is. It's adaptation, it's resilience. You as a star should feel very seen and motivated that the future belongs to you if you want it.
Welcome back to the Paperless Pathways Podcast, where we explore the stories, strategies, and systems helping stars move forward in a skills-first future. Today's episode is not only episode 5, it is our season 2 finale. This season, we have been exploring what AI means for stars, how it is changing the way we learn, work, search for opportunities, and tell the story of our skills. We have talked about new jobs, human skills, prompt engineering, and building your own curriculum. Now we are closing the season by bringing it all together with a conversation about AI as your co-pilot. But before we get into AI, let's name what's actually at stake. Stars, workers who are skilled through alternative routes, already face a paper ceiling, an invisible barrier that blocks them from roles they are fully qualified for simply because they didn't take a traditional degree path. AI is raising new questions about the future of work. Our job today is to make sure the answer includes stars. Our guests, Diego Rubio and Johnetta Gresham, were both featured in the New York Times bestseller, Open to Work: How to Get Ahead in the Age of AI,
written by former CEO of LinkedIn and a senior leader at Microsoft, Ryan Roslansky, and Chief Economic Opportunity Officer at LinkedIn, Anish Raman.
Their stories ground this conversation in real experience, what it looks like for stars to navigate change, use new tools, and keep building pathways forward. In this finale, we will talk about how stars can use AI to sharpen their existing skills, boost performance, and make their experience more visible without losing the human edge that makes their work powerful. Let's dive in. All right, we are closing out season 2 today, a season that's been all about stars and AI. And before we get into tools and tactics, I want to introduce one of our Stars Advisory Council members, Diego Rubio. Diego, can you take a little minute, let the people know who you are, and talk a little bit about your journey?
For sure. Thanks, Lasana, for having me. My name is Diego Rubio. I am a star, first and foremost. I currently work for the Center on Rural Innovation, where I help ecosystem leaders across rural America think of ways how to develop innovation in their regions, specifically through entrepreneurship. My background is, I left college because student loans were racking up and I didn't see a value proposition or a way out. So I decided to step back from college and rethink what my career was going to look like. And through a lot of thinking and trial and error, I landed on the path of entrepreneurship. I started my own company. The first company that I built was a recruiting company. From there, I developed a web app, kind of like Uber Eats in my hometown. And then I opened up a food truck. So I spent a lot of years in many, many projects trying to figure out what my path was. And throughout the course of that entrepreneurship journey, I built and stacked up my skills that kind of helped me build confidence in myself. Because whenever I first dropped out of college, I was thinking, okay, well, I don't have a degree. What is my future going to look like? But throughout this self-taught journey, it has helped me kind of be confident in what I'm able to do. And I currently do this amazing work across rural America, and it wouldn't have been possible if I took an alternative route to understand what I'm really interested in, what I'm skilled at. So, pleasure to be here, and happy to chat more about AI and what it means to be a star, and what the future of work looks like in the next coming years.
Awesome, awesome. And much like myself, I ended up, leaving and, choosing a different path that, I was like, oh, this is more financially solvent for me, which a lot of stars, run into that same exact issue. And you were talking a little bit about like recruiting and things like that. So you kind of have this insider view on like who gets chosen for what. So can you talk a little bit about how like AI is changing who
Yeah.
gets to succeed in the workforce and like what that might mean for stars?
Definitely. I think AI in the recruiting space, or who gets to succeed, is a double-edged sword. Skilled workers are finally being able to gain ground in ways that, in the past wasn't that easy. But, on the risk side, AI screening tools can really discriminate against stars, and, have biased algorithms or degree filters at scale, right? So if you have this whole AI infrastructure that has a bias towards stars and people that don't have degrees, then the whole system is going to be, against you. But on the opportunity side, I think AI really lowers the barrier to doing high value work. You don't need a pedigree or degree or anything fancy to produce an output. All you need is a couple of AI tokens, a subscription to ChatGPT or Claude to really do amazing work. You could build a dashboard for your company. You could build and synthesize uh, tools that will help synthesize data for your organization, or you could build an app that will help you do your day-to-day work. So the opportunity out there is huge and exponential for people who are just interested in the work. Um, and one of the things that I like to point out whenever we talk about AI is I ran a 12-week program just recently. It closed, where rural founders were able to build apps and run AI applications in their business. And 3 years ago, or 3 to 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible without a CS certificate or a CS degree, and would have really required technical knowledge. But these people were everyday people who were not technical at all. And by the end of the 12 weeks, they really understood the the functions of what AI can do in their business. So I think, this being skills first plus AI is like the real opportunity out there. If you can do the job and you can show that you can do the job, um, I think recruiters should be able to open up those doors so that those people who are interested can get the job.
No, I love that. And we've had very famous people say that saying as well. If you can do the job, you should get the job. And
Exactly.
when I start thinking about a lot of what you're talking about, especially when it comes to the skills that people bring to the table, when you think about like your own path, like as you're going through and like figuring out things, and like me, I've had like 6 or 7 lifetimes. I've told people that. I was like, I've managed a neo soul band and a burlesque duo, and I've like done a variety of different things trying to like find my way. But with each one, I find a skill or an experience that I can take away that might not seem transferable
For
to
sure.
like the present job that I'm doing, but definitely helps. So what are some of those things that you found within yourself as a star that you're just like, you know what? If I didn't have this experience, I wouldn't have been able to bring this to the table and help solve a problem that I have in my current job or my current life.
For sure. I think you being an entrepreneur yourself, I think we should get an honorary degree on accounting or finance. I think that was
Amen
the
to that one. Yeah.
the number one skill that you have to learn to be able to sustain your business. And um it really opened my eyes that, okay, I remember I was taking accounting classes in college, but I didn't really pay attention, or I didn't really get into too much detail. But whenever you're
Mm.
on the actual like role of understanding profit and loss statements, understanding what your financial flow and liquidity of the business is, it really, you start Googling things that, in college you wouldn't have been even interested in, right? So that, I think that was the first skill that I got. But most importantly, as you're building a business and you're hiring people or partnering with people as you grow, the human elements of understanding people's motivations, of managing people, um, is really vital in you being able to sustain your business. So I think the skills that help me move forward are obviously, understanding business fundamentals and accounting and financials, understanding people, understanding leadership, understanding people's motivations, the human skills, being able to understand customer service. I was in the customer service industry where I opened up a food truck. I had to understand how to react when a customer was upset, when a team member was upset, and how to manage those relationships. So it entrepreneurship, and that's why I love entrepreneurship. I think entrepreneurship is the proof that you can do something from the ground up. And that's why I always motivate people to take this path, because I think it's the quickest path to upskill yourself. If you run a business for 12 months, you will learn exponentially more than, a 4-year degree on business, right? Like the nuances and the intricacies of business can only be uncovered when you're actually doing the thing, right? And it could be, if you take away the word entrepreneurship, it could be like working at an IT company and starting from the ground up. You will learn a lot more than just taking classes on IT, right? Like actually doing the thing is going to upskill you quicker, faster, and better, than, the traditional 4-year degree.
No, I love that because I think of how many times that um, I've helped other people out because I've started my own business and they're just like, what do I need to do to, get an LLC or an employer identification number, and what are the rules and how is it different here than this state or that state? And I'm like, oh, you got to go to this site. Oh, you got to do this. Now you got to fill this in. Now you need this number, and now you take this from here. And we were just like, oh, it's like, that all comes from having to kind of figure it out on my own and reading through. I told people I once started a nonprofit and I actually had to fill out the 501(c)(3) paperwork myself,
Yeah.
which I tell people, I was like, if you don't have to, please don't hire someone. But I've done it, and I successfully argued with the IRS a few times on the phone to get the paperwork the way that it needed to be presented and entered, and was able to get my 501(c)(3) for my nonprofit. So I was like, I leveraged a lot of my skills to be able to do that. But now we have AI. So AI would have probably been able to help me out a ton instead of me, bothering a lot of different people. But shout out to my local librarians because they, were godsends and they helped me with a lot of stuff that I didn't know. So
Mm.
please do, go to your local library support. Your librarians will be able to answer some of those soft questions as well. But when it comes to hard things that are kind of common knowledge that maybe you're like, I'm not going to Google forever for it. Have you ever used AI to kind of help you complete a task where you're just like, I don't know where to go from here? and I just kind of need a quick answer, or I need the ability to be able to consolidate something and then like get it going so that you can get on to your next project or next endeavor.
Yeah, I in my line of work, we synthesize a lot of data. We get spreadsheets from different sources like Department of Labor, EDA spreadsheets. Like we have a ton of numbers that we have to synthesize and find the there, right? So whenever I'm writing reports or I'm thinking of a strategy for a community, I leverage AI to synthesize that and try to help me find a trend, or I build a tool like a dashboard or a visualization of the data so I can understand what the trend is or what it looks like, and I can copy that into the report. So it's just been I like to say that AI is like this really good intern that they can do the task, but you have to have the right expertise and knowledge of what you're wanting the output to be, right? Like if you hire an intern, they're going to be really good at doing SQL, but you're going to have to tell them what you want, you know, them to use SQL for, right? Like what the output is supposed to look like. So um, I just like to use AI to streamline and wrestle with my thoughts on the different conclusions that I have, or the thesis that I have for a certain community, or if I'm building a program or a curriculum for a community. I like to use AI to um, help me build the PowerPoints. I have a PowerPoint skill that gives me like the bones of it all, and I have to go in and manually like make it pretty and not AI slop. But it saves me time versus 2 years ago where you had to like manually go in and do each slide on your own. Now it's just more streamlined and quicker to do the job that you're intended to do, which is think about the problems at hand, and kind of like the manual aspect of the work is becoming more and more uh, easier to manage.
No, absolutely. I tell people the hard thing that I have is slimming things down. I I can write a whole, dissertation on something, but when it comes to a PowerPoint, I'm like, is this more important than that, or is it? So, it really does help me, shave down and kind of get to the core of the, four or five things that I'm supposed to say on a slide, or else, every slide would be a small novel. But as we think about our usage of AI, we got to remember, like you said, there are the things that you have to still kind of go in and tweak. So, what do you think are some like important human skills that that we really need to take into consideration as we're going into this age of AI? I tend to tell people, don't use it as a therapist. It's really great at gathering data. It's really great at collaborating information that's kind of already out there. But as far as like your personal life, you might want to stray away from that. So it's very biased. It's only whatever's out there. So, what are some human skills that you think are becoming really, really important as we are starting to embark on this new age?
Yeah, I think now more than ever, human skills in general are going to be the important skill for everyone. And I'm going to go refer back to the Open to Work book, where they mentioned the 5 C's, which is curiosity, courage, creativity, compassion, and communication. Um, if you want to start to develop a list of what human skills you think are the most important to you, or the ones that you feel like you're most skilled at, I think I would lean more on those, and start to ideate what other skills you're wanting to leverage. But for me, I think in my work and what I've seen, I think trust, being able to listen, being able to read a person or a project through the human lens, is not something that AI can really do. AI is just a bunch of zeros and ones, and it's able to just synthesize a lot of data that's in the internet and will give you an output that kind of matches that, but it doesn't have that human nuance behind it. So I think also AI can't really build relationships. So understanding human relationships, relationships with your manager, relationships with your coworkers, so that you can be able to move up the career ladder, where, in the open to work book they say the career ladder is going to be, you know non-existent. And I agree with that as well. But as you want to progress in this career map, if you will, you're going to want to leverage your relationships and understand how to leverage your human skills to build those relationships. I would also say that AI doesn't have taste or judgment. I think understanding which AI output is good and relevant to your use case is going to be the most important skill in the next couple of years. Um, I also think that industry knowledge and insight is going to be very important as people are trying to integrate AI into everything now. Your voice is going to matter. So I do want to take a moment to say, a lot of AI conversations are focused on the recently graduated from high school folks or the young 20-year-olds, but I want to talk to the people who are in the middle of their career. I think AI is also a huge opportunity for you because you have been doing this work nonstop for the past 20 plus years. And no one will understand the nuance of your role. No one will understand the nuance of your industry as much as a 20 plus uh, career professional like you. So lean into trying to upskill yourself with AI. You already have the human skills. You already have that industry knowledge and what the right judgment and taste will be for your specific industry. So, I think you have the hardest of skills to learn. You already have them in place. All you just need to do is get comfortable with AI, and I would lean in on building that toolkit uh, as more, and being able to, I
Mhm.
think, having the skill to being able to understand what the right question is going to matter more nowadays. Um, I have this saying that I told Anish that he repeats often is you are no longer limited by what you can do. You are only limited to what you can think of wanting to ask, right? So I think understanding, what are the questions that are needed to be answered in this age of AI in my specific role, in my specific industry, are going to matter more and more as, AI integration becomes more of a thing across the board.
No, absolutely. And, as we continue to grow in this age of embracing it, I love that you say, it's not just for the young folks, which is what we tend to, shove it into. And one of the things I really admire of like NASA and their current mission to go to the moon, a lot of people were saying, why can we send robots and we send other things around the moon? Why people? And they said there was something instrumental about having the human experience of
Mhm.
being able to go around there and see certain things. And there were certain colors that popped out, and certain descriptors that, the human being was able to have that wasn't necessarily present whenever you just kind of send cameras and send those type of other automated things around. So as we're growing and as we're starting to explore more again, as a nation, we are still kind of seeing that the human factor is still vitally important when it comes to analyzing things and giving a purview. That it's not just this collaboration of data, that you also need the human characteristic. But you talked a lot about open to work, which you're featured in. Can you talk a little bit about what your experience was like being featured in that book?
Definitely. I think it was a phenomenal experience. I didn't know it was going to be this big, huge thing. Whenever I shared my story and I was told, oh, you're going to be in a book, I thought, "Oh, okay, it's going to be maybe an internal book for LinkedIn. It's going to be maybe just shared amongst each other." But then I hopped on a call with Anish, and he said, "Diego, this is going to be a huge thing. Prepare for yourself." And it was. I mean, it became an instant New York Times bestseller. A lot of folks in my network reached out saying, "Wow, I saw a billboard on Open to Work in Manhattan or wherever they lived," and it's just been a really nice experience to one meet other stars who also have a voice in AI, but also understanding that LinkedIn as an organization is really an organization that is a true believer in the skill first mentality and wanting to help people like us shine and be able to have opportunities across the board. So um, a wonderful experience. I got to visit the LinkedIn office. I got to meet Ryan and Anish and a lot of the LinkedIn folks. They were all super nice. Got to participate in a panel. So it opened up doors that, you kind of don't think is possible whenever, I'm thinking about the 19-year-old me. And if I could tell myself, hey, you're going to be in a LinkedIn panel in the next few years, I wouldn't have believed it myself. It was kind of like a pinch me moment that I am truly very appreciative to LinkedIn and Anish and Ryan for thinking that my story is valuable. And one of the things that I want to highlight of the book is that the book highlights that the future really belongs to people who adapt, and that's exactly what a star story is. It's adaptation, it's resilience, it's moving through the motions and understanding where to best fit in. And so I think the fact that that book is the main idea is that you as a star should feel very seen and motivated that the future belongs to you if you want it.
So that had to be a fantastic experience being asked to be in the book and dealing with all the shining lights. And from personal experience, I can tell you, it does feel whirlwindy, and there are some slow motion parts in my head that I'm just like, fantasizing about what this thing is like, and then you're kind of just shoved into it.
Mhm.
So for from one star to another. Enjoy the ride. It'll be fantastic and great to kind of tell your kids and grandkids as you get older. It's like I got called up to San Francisco. But seriously, we can get back into it about what the perception is now with AI and how it is like changing the dynamics of the way that we live and work today. So
Mhm,
you've been on the employer side.
mhm.
So I'm going to ask you to put your employer hat on.
Okay.
And if you being in that seat, what is something that you would look around to your fellow employers as well and say, this is something that I wish you understood about stars and their involvement with AI and how that could be sometimes life changing
Yeah.
for a company.
Yeah, I think AI is going to bring a lot of disruption, and there's not a fixed playbook out there that will kind of detail how the next 5 years is going to look like. So I think employers, stars are already AI adaptable. They have been adapting without a fixed playbook throughout the entirety of their career. So if you're wanting to have a solid player in your workforce, stars are the ones that are going to move with the ebbs and flows of this AI disruption and will adapt quicker and faster than the non-stars. I would also say like half of the workforce in the US is a star, where they are labeled as one or not. So, let's not overestimate, the amount of talent pool that is out there. Um, One of the things that I do want to kind of caution employers is that, you know, the screening process is now going to be AI enabled. So our job as um, people who are aligned with the mission need to be able to voice the concern and fix those filters so that stars are not auto reject in these new algorithms that are being built for hiring processes. So, um, uh, as the more people are aware that stars exist and stars are able to do the work, and that this filter exists, the more and more filters will be fixed, and we'll be able to surpass that application phase and get an actual interview. And you'll see that in the interview, you'll get to know more about the star, and you'll even potentially hire them. And I think also hire for demonstrated skills. I think AI makes those skills easier than ever to be shown. So if you're doing an application process, 100% do a project within that application project, because stars will lean into that. And I feel like that will level the playing field of uh, I don't have to showcase my resume, this static piece of paper. I can just show you what I can do through an application, through a dashboard that I built with AI, or whatever the case may be, that will be useful for your specific industry or the role that you're trying to fill. So,
Awesome. And I won't keep you long because you and I can kind of go back and forth and,
yeah.
and talk about this topic, you know, ad infinitum. But I want to ask, like, as we close out the season about stars and AI and what this new paradigm means, what's one message that you would say, that you want stars to carry with them as they traverse through this new age?
I think uh, us stars will have, and I'm speaking from experience, that we will have imposter syndrome um, as a de facto feeling throughout our career. But I will say that that feeling becomes less and less the more you stack up proof that you are able to do the thing that you're wanting to do. So I would, my message to stars would be, build up that undeniable proof that are able to be in the rooms that you want to be, that you are able to do the things that you want to do. And how do you do that? By actually just taking on small projects, by taking on small certificates, by watching YouTube videos. Um, Now more than ever, you have information in your hand, and all you need to do is be action biased, is always thinking of doing while you're learning, because that's going to be the most efficient and quickest way to upskill yourself. So um, leverage AI. AI is the greatest leveler of this century. I think it rewards you with what you can do, and not where you went to school, or who you know. I think um, don't wait, and use the tools to improve your career.
So I'm thinking while doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So Diego, I have one final question for you. Finish this sentence. Well, actually, it's a comment.
Okay.
Please finish the following sentence. The future of work needs stars because.
the future of work needs stars because they've always built skills by doing. Um, and doing is exactly what this moment rewards. And one of the other skills that stars do is adapting without a map. Like I said, I think adapting without a map is a native skill of stars. And I think right now the whole economy or the whole industry of the workplace just lost its map. So if you wanted to help to navigate, the uncertainties of the next few years, uh, stars are the most adaptable and are the ones that are leading by building up their skills.
Adapting without a map. I love that. Love that too. That's a t-shirt. That's a slogan. That's something somewhere.
Yeah.
Daniel, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with us.
Thank you for your time, Lashana, and thank you for having me on this podcast. I really appreciate it.
There's a paper ceiling in hiring. And if you've ever built a career without a 4-year degree, you already know it's there. Paperless Pathways is where the people tearing through the ceiling come together. The podcast is just the beginning. On Substack, you'll find star stories, movement updates, and a growing community of workers, advocates, and leaders who believe skills speak louder than a paper ceiling. When you subscribe, you're not just getting the show. You'll find your people. Search Paperless Pathways on Substack and join the community for free. Visit substack.com/@Paperless Pathways to learn more about the STARS community.